A very drizzly day at SU Soccer Stadium, but a great one nonetheless. Number 3 Syracuse, number 14 Cornell. Boy, it's hard to beat a team twice. The Big Red go for that today in the third round of the NCAA tournament. Taking a look at how we got here, last Sunday, Syracuse took down Penn in an overtime showdown. 2-1 the final. Levante Johnson got the go-ahead for SU. On the other side, Cornell took down Maryland 2-1, also in overtime. All 3 goals in that game in the last 10 minutes. Inside the press box at SU Soccer Stadium, alongside former Syracuse headman Dean Fody, I'm Ian Unsworth. Dean, the history between these two teams, the weather today, we expect a lot of intensity.
Well, these teams are no strangers to one another. They've played a game earlier in the season. It was a physical battle. I expect this one to be tight and, again, physical.
These teams have a couple new characters arriving on the scene since that matchup back in early October. For the Orange, it's been Lorenzo Baselli stepping up.
Lorenzo Baselli has grown into the role of being a starter. He started coming off the bench early in the season. He now is a starter and has grown into the role in such a way that he scored big goals for the Orange.
Baselli's found the back of the net against UVA and Clemson, both in the ACC tournament. On the other side, talk about a man coming out of nowhere. Danny Loco has scored 3 goals in his past 2 games. He had the 2 for Cornell against Maryland.
Danny Loco has the hot hand for Cornell right now. He's had the benefit of flying under the radar a little bit with the presence of Brandon Morales up front and Kisa Kingy. It's tough. He can get himself into those blind spots. He'll be one to watch.
Loco tries to sneak past a very good Syracuse defense. Cornell and Syracuse will run the rematch at SU Soccer Stadium after the break. The third round of the NCAA tournament up next. A College Cup berth is on the line at a rainy SU Soccer Stadium. The fans out in droves. Ian McIntyre's crew, 3-seed Syracuse, could clinch their 2nd College Cup berth, while Vermont looks for its first ever trip to Cary. A look at how both teams got here. Syracuse beat the best in the Ivy League, both Penn and Cornell, scoring goals late in the second half. Vermont has been the comeback Catamounts. 8 of Vermont's 9 goals scored after halftime. We welcome you inside the press box at SU Soccer Stadium, alongside former Syracuse headman Dean Fody. I'm Ian Unsworth. Dean, 2 Northeast Titans, College Cup berth on the line. Can't get any better. Galov over the corner again. Syracuse is 2nd. 10 minutes in. Here's the service. Deep over Silvera and in! Kirk Galov scores from the corner spot. Syracuse takes the lead. Opoku chips it through. Baselli, a lefty chance. A palm from Klein keeps us level. Here comes Jonah Leibold. Full head of steam past Rosner. Leibold in. It gets past Doe. Johnson a chance. He scores!
On the goal line.
Opoku to Johnson. He's on sides. Chance in the box, and that's a penalty. Johnson went down, and J.C. Griggs immediately pointed to the spot. Ball towards Afonso near side. One-on-one with Oya Gunley. Seen this matchup a lot in the second half. Lefty try. Afonso finds the back of the net. Russell Shealy to boot it forward. He's got 10 clean sheets this season. Also had an assist on the game winner against Cornell. His throw started the Cuse counterattack that Jonah Leibold converted. Galov pushing past Sebastian Gebhardt in the corner.
I think this will be a good duel all day long. Gebhardt and Kaloff. Good individual defender against a good individual attacker. I think you'll see the same thing on the other side too.
Gebhardt poked it away from Levante Johnson, and Syracuse has the match's first corner. Both teams came in with 147 corner kicks. Here's the service into the back post. It's headed away. We've got a whistle as well. Looked like it went out of play, curved back in, and that leads to a goal kick. Referee Tom Snyder making his first game impacting decision today.
Rob Dowd made a great point in our discussion with him, just talking about how his defenders really, his defenders are tough, but they really relish in their individual matchups and, really take it personal, which, anyone knows in this game. I mean, if you got defenders that take it personal, They're very motivated to make sure that they're not going to let their attacking player have room to play. Vermont certainly has that quality.
An experienced back line and held UCLA goalless in its last match. Garrett Lilly has to clear, and he draws a foul. Jonah Leibold clattered into him late.
Ball deep into the Vermont territory. No intent there. Leibold does clatter into him, but when you're going that fast and you try to stop in these wet conditions, very difficult to stop.
Looked like he just lost his footing. Ground went off under him.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was worthy of a card, because I don't think there was any intent there to Leibold just going after the ball. So he was going to get there second and tried to stop and slipped into his opponent. Nonetheless, Tom Snyder sees that as a yellow card offense. We have our first card of the game.
Does that set a precedent of sorts going forward?
Well, it may change the way Leibold plays. It's more an issue from the defensive side of things, in terms of you've got to be careful going in for a tackle now. Again, especially on a wet day, you don't want to slip and fall and collect a second yellow card.
Vermont pushes forward. Joe Morrison has a chance. Numbers up with them. Morrison overcooks it. Bit of a wishful attempt with the wind blowing against it.
Well, direct ball played forward, trickles through the back of the Syracuse defense. Morrison, who does have a good shot, he can hit a ball a ton. Doesn't quite get that one the way he wanted to, but nonetheless, you don't want to give him free looks at goal.
Morrison's scored twice this season. Rob Dow said that Syracuse does leave space behind its back three. Dean, you think that direct play style is a direct result of that?
Well, I think, Syracuse is accustomed to keeping a high line in the back, but they're very good at pressuring the ball at the front end, which you have to have. So in order to exploit the space behind it.
Baselli on the ball pressure. He goes down. A whistle. Card is coming out. Awarded to a Vermont player. Syracuse has a free kick right outside the 18.
Baselli does well to ride off these tackles, gets in behind and gets tripped up from behind. I'm not sure who the card went to, perhaps Zach Barrett. But initial defending by Vermont, very good. They got numbers around the ball. Baselli fights, wins it, dribbles, stumbles. It's determined to be just outside the penalty box. Dangerous area nonetheless.
Both Barrett and Garrett Lilly were in the area. Kaloff stands over the free kick. 6 options there for Syracuse.
Kaloff very good at whipping in balls here. This is a dangerous spot. Vermont's got to be careful. Syracuse has got to try and get across their defenders to get on the end of this. Kaloff doesn't look like he's happy with the way that ball's set up. The wind's blowing.
Right in his face. Kaloff raises the arm. Driving service towards the front post, skips off Silvera and headed away. Gebhardt kept it clear of danger. That was dangerous. Silvera did not catch it cleanly.
Nightmare having a ball, pinball around in front of your goal on a day like today when there are conditions such as they are. Silvera does look like he gets a hand on it, keeps it out. At the end of the day, you keep it out. Doesn't matter how it looks.
Tom Snyder calling over Bassini and Johnson.
Both these teams know what's on the line today, and I'll tell you what, they haven't gotten this far for being timid. They're both physical, they're both competitively mature teams. There's a lot of traffic in this box, in this goal mouth right now.
Kaloff over the corner again. Syracuse is second. 10 minutes in. Here's the service. Deep over Silvera and in! Kirk Kaloff scores from the corner spot. Syracuse takes the lead.
Great service by Kaloff. Whips this ball in. There's so much traffic in the box. Silvera goes up early, does get a hand on it, it looks like, but it does curl into the back post. These services are so hard and there's so much traffic in there. Very difficult to negotiate. Clearing this ball. Does look like Silvera gets his hand on it.
Kalov stepped up so big all season for Syracuse. Just his second goal, but he has played a big role in the last 2 matches. Ian McIntyre called him direct and dynamic last week. That's about as direct as you can get.
Sure is. And with all the attention going to Levante Johnson and Nathan Opoku, you know, having flank players who can do damage, who can get forward, who can add to the attack. This was a set-piece scenario, but nonetheless, Kalov has stepped up. His service has been extraordinary during the run of play and on set pieces.
Syracuse's first half goal in an NCAA tournament match this season.
Great start for the Orange. Not yet 15 minutes old this game, but we all know this Vermont team's experienced. They're no strangers to being down by a goal and chasing the game. A lot of time left.
And in early September, Syracuse scored about 10 minutes in, and then Vermont responded 10 minutes later. It was Levante Johnson who got the go-ahead at Virtue Field, and then Yaniv Bazzini who scored 10 minutes later. Bazzini and Salim running for it. Purdy covering at the back end against Vermont's leading goal scorer, Max Murray. He is 6'5", a junior who at one point played center back for this Catamounts team. Rob Dow moved him up front after they ran out of strikers in that COVID spring season.
Well, it's paid off. Max Murray's very opportunistic. He scored some great goals at opportunistic times. You know, he's definitely a physical presence and a great target. His hold-up play is good. They're going to want to try and get balls forward to him as well as Bazzini. To this point, Syracuse has done a pretty good job of preventing service up to them. We're very early into this game, and I can tell you, Tom Snyder's going to have his work cut out for him. This is going to be a really competitive game in terms of a high-energy, two-spirited teams, experienced, big, strong, physical. Neither team is going to back down. Both know what's at stake here, and Snyder doing a good job early on, trying to pull players aside, talk to them, and say, look, just play. Keep it a soccer game.
Captains Anthony Sinclair and Daniel Pichella both in conversation with the head referee.
I think players appreciate that out of an official. They'll take the time, explain to them, listen to them. We'll see how this plays out.
You can see the mud tracking across the sidelines at SU Soccer Stadium. Little relief from the rain. The sun is out. Bazzini streaking forward for Vermont. And Oyagunli on the clear. Sure, something this massive crowd appreciates as well. The Syracuse Student Association had to ask for more tickets because they sold out quickly. Vermont has brought a great brigade down as well.